Hey everyone, and welcome back to part 3 of What If DEKU had AMATERASU. Now, where we left off, we had just gotten to the USJ and started to tell y'all, but I'm gonna pull back a little on what I said. I want to kind of expand that first part of the USJ and the arrival. You know, I looked back on it and realized I really kind of cut down that whole arrival bit. Anyways, but not also moving on. Make sure you guys like, sub. Lets me know you guys actually enjoy what I'm putting out. Also, turn on notifications to know when the next part comes out or other what ifs, because there's some fire what ifs coming out, man. This shit gonna be fire as hell. Nah, but I hope you guys enjoy. And also, I heard the feedback about longer parts, so you know I'm gonna be increasing the time, hopefully like doubling or even more. So I heard that. I kind of realize now that's like, like 11, 12-minute parts. It's kind of short. So, let's get back into it, shall we? Now to recap. We are now at the USJ. The students have just arrived and they see what appears to be villains, you know. And at first they think, oh wow, they have set up, you know, fake villains for us to fight. But 13 tells them to get back, and Aizawa tells them that, you know, this is not a drill. These villains are indeed real. Aizawa tells them, you know, as they get back, he jumps down to try to fight off the villains. And he's able to defeat, you know, many of them. He is, you know, he's pretty good in one-on-one group battles. Or, sorry, I guess that would just be one-on group battles. But the villains do recognize him as a racer head, and they remember his quirk. 13 in class 1A attempt to evacuate, but Kurogiri, for any of those who don't remember, he's the portal guy. He can teleport people. He stops them, and he tells the students that, in 13, that they're the League of Villains, and that their goal is to kill All Might. Kurogiri then uses his quirk to teleport most of class 1A's students to different areas of the USJ. Izuku is teleported to the flood zone, which is that big water area with the boats. That part of the USJ, where one of the villains immediately tries to devour him, you know, bite down, but he uses his quirk, you know, his quick use of Amaterasu burns the villain, almost immediately knocking him out from the pain. He gets out and gets on the boat with Tsuyu, but they come up with a plan to escape and get back to Aizawa. Izuku uses Amaterasu and sets massive portions of the water on fire, but leaves a path for them to get back. Tsuyu then leaps out with Izuku on her back, swimming as quickly as possible, and Izuku then sets the water that they go past on fire, blocking the path behind them so the villains can't tail from behind. As they get back, Ito was able to run off and inform the heroes about what happened, but they see Aizawa trapped under the Nomu. Izuku, not even waiting a single second, activates his Sharingan and sets the Nomu's head on fire, causing it to scream in agony because, you know, these flames are pretty damn hard, you know, hard as the sun, you know. And, you know, I hate to say it, Nomu, but I don't think your defense has been able to show that you could withstand, you know, the sun's heat. So, you know, its head just kind of, you know, it burns off. You know, we get a scene of the pro heroes arriving and All Might jumping in. Just as the Nomu slumps to the ground, its head now just an ashy, charred blob. Kurogiri, realizing this, and how powerful the boy's flames are, immediately teleports a large amount of the villains still left conscious out of there, saving them from what was about to be a brutal counterattack from the heroes. What could have been an honest end to the big portion of the League of Villains there. I mean, imagine if all of them got captured. Ooh, that would have been quite hard to bounce back from. The school investigates Izuku about how he was able to take down a Nomu so easily, and Aizawa defends Izuku, kind of letting the school know that he really didn't, it wasn't any sort of like stage thing, like because the school was like investigating for traitors and, you know, was suspicious that one of the students was able to take down a villain that not even Aizawa could, but he says that those flames were incredibly powerful, and he could tell that it wasn't staged for that, to try to defend Izuku from being the traitor, because that's what they're looking into now, because one of the students had to let one of the villains know what happened to get in. Now, Deku's let off, but he's told to be very careful with those flames, because if they can melt and burn the Nomu that easily, they could also be a big danger to the other students if they're training together and he uses them on them, even in incredibly small portions. While the students are on their dorms. They're worried that school will be canceled due to the attack that had just happened. Since, you know, that could easily shut down a school. Now, some of them don't share this fear. They kind of look forward to it a bit. It's like, oh, no schoolwork. But, you know, a good portion of them is, you know, it's class 1A. They're the, you know, they kind of try a lot, so they're going to be worried. You know, Mineta, you may not expect this, Mineta walks in. The class kind of gasped because he wasn't expelled, but instead he was apparently put through a training camp until he could throw the ball farther than one of his classmates' scores during the test. Mineta says Aizawa just wanted to push them to try their hardest, but he wanted to make sure that Mineta was able to actually compete with the others. The school announces that they won't stop any of their ongoing activities or any sort of classroom learning because they don't want to show any sort of fear to the villains. They don't want to bow in any way, and that they will stand tall to show the world that they aren't afraid. The next day of class, Aizawa announces the sports festival. You know, the students cheer. You know, they're getting pumped to compete. You know, you get them flashing their quirks a bit. You know, Aizawa tells them, you know, calm down. It isn't that big of a deal, you know. And that they're going to do some small quirk training to try to get ready. You know, Aizawa kind of puts them through a bit of stuff, you know, showing them that while for some of them, you know, doing a bit of physical training wouldn't hurt, like Mineta definitely helps since now he can actually be a bit more physically adept due to the training, and now he can actually throw the ball a bit further. Training your quirk's going to be a lot more useful. Like Bakugo, don't get me wrong, like, you know, don't skip leg day, but, you know, getting those explosions to be more powerful, it's going to help them in the long run. You know, this doesn't go as far as, like, giving them their special abilities, but, you know, it kind of boosts their quirk a bit, like, you know, Uraraka is able to finally, you know, float for a while longer without just puking. Deku learns how to better control his flames and activates his Sharingan a bit more on command. Because while he could, sometimes it could stress, you know, they stress his eyes out. Like, sometimes, like, it could be a bit hard on him. You know, and now we get to a scene where 2 weeks have passed. And the day of the UA Sports Festival has finally arrived. Security has been beefed up heavily, you know, and the sports festival is being broadcast live for the entire world to see, you know, kind of doubling back on the whole UA doesn't want to look scared in the face of the villains. In the class 1A waiting room, Todoroki approaches Izuku. He tells her that he's far stronger than him, and that despite those flames he has, just like his disgusting father, he still plans to defeat him. You know, in this version, Todoroki doesn't like Izuku a whole lot. You know, his flames, even though they're a different color, they still remind him of his father. You know, a flame is a flame is a flame. And because of that, Todoroki just kind of already has this inbound, like, hatred towards Deku. Like, he hasn't actually wronged him yet, but, you know, he has a fire quirk, his dad has a fire quirk. You get where I'm heading with it. Now, Deku kind of just shrugs us off. He's like, okay, whatever, man. You know, he doesn't really care. It's like, you know, if Todoroki wants to try his hardest, you know, try your hardest, and if you can beat me, that just means there's another strong hero and that I need to train more. Now, when they get out there, the first festival is the race, with the first part being the whole robot thing. Just like in canon, Todoroki immediately freezes many of the contestants from the start, but a lot of them, and the vast majority of 1A, is able to dodge or avoid it. You know, Todoroki kind of looks back and says he expects it, but he saw more people just dodge it than just outright avoid it. As the others start to catch up, since Todoroki is now just, you know, kind of like sliding off, like getting his start, robots start appearing and attacking them. Now, Deku's able to pretty easily secure his way forwards. He strategically burns the robots and, like, kind of slides across the ice that Todoroki had left while it's still there, and then just runs the rest of the way. Now, what he wasn't expecting was when he looks behind him as he's reaching the second portion of the race is Bakugo. He's catching up. He's flying through the air using his explosions, just like in canon, and he's flying forward at high speeds. And Deku's worried, you know, he could run fast, but, you know, Bakugo realized that he could just propel himself forward, and he's catching up incredibly quick. Deku, I guess it's better judgment because he wants to save his stamina because using a Sharingan, it is, it's taxing, especially with the new abilities he's been learning. He activates his Sharingan, and improves his physical abilities, and he starts running even faster, catching up with Todoroki. But as they reach the minefield, Deku, he kind of grinds to a halt. He's like, ah, shit. He can't just, run over those. Deku tries burning them, but they explode with the heat. When he tries to set them on fire, they just kind of instantly react to it and just go kablooey. Now, Bakugo, seeing this, he just blasts right over him. And Deku just kind of reacts. It's like, yeah, I just gotta go for it. If I get hurt, I get hurt, but I can't fall that far behind. And he runs as fast as he can, jumping and dodging the mines to the best of his ability. With this, Todoroki also catches up, trying to build an ice path, trying to go over, but it isn't as fast as Deku's able to just kind of jump and weave. But that too isn't as fast as Bakugo's ability to just take a straight shot flying right over. So, unfortunately, the final results for this race end up being with Bakugo in first, Deku in second, and Todoroki with them being three of the, I believe, 42 qualifying students that made it out of there. Unlike Canon, even though Deku, he's still just as smart. Due to the fact that he can actually use his abilities, he doesn't, and he also didn't pick up the medal earlier in the race. He doesn't come up with the idea to just blast himself over, pulling into first place like he did in Canon. So unfortunately, Deku isn't able to compete in that way. But, his extreme physical prowess, able to jump over the best that he can as quick as he could, and the gains he made in the early portions of the race, allow him to secure himself, pretty nicely in second. Even if it isn't first, he thinks to himself that he'll catch up. Now, Todoroki, he's pretty upset. The first part of the Sword Festival's over, and he already told Deku he was going to beat him because he had a flame quirk, and he's already fallen through on that. He already hasn't beat Deku. Deku came in a place above him, and while he's still upset about Bakugo, he's even more upset at the fact that he lost to Deku. He's kind of getting incredibly upset. He doesn't like it. Now, we get the second event, which is the human cavalry battle, where Bakugo is almost ghosted this time since he's worth 10 million points with his headband. Now, he's still able, just like in Canon, he gets Eijiro, he gets Hanta, he gets Mina, but just like in Canon, he gets them, and they are able to form a team. And Deku, in this time, Ida actually accepts this request and joins his team. This time Deku isn't in first place. He doesn't have the 10 million. Ida's less motivated to compete against him because even though he has not a pretty worth headband since he came in second, it isn't the 10 million that are in first. And so he joins. And he gets Uraraka that approaches him, and because, Deku saw how they performed together in the hero-villain trading thing, he accepts them onto the team. And the last one that approaches is Mei Hatsumi, who wants to show off her babies. Deku got confused there for a second, but quickly really realized they were just support devices. And they all form a team with Ida as the legs on the bottom, Mei with that, then Deku, and then Uraraka on top. Now, when it comes to the games, almost immediately people, they swarm Bakugo. When you're worth 10 million, people are going to notice. But he almost immediately blasts them all away, shouting, "Come and get it if you can, nerds!" Deku, taking this relatively seriously, has Uraraka use zero gravity on him as he propels himself incredibly quickly towards Bakugo, snatching the bandana, and then using his zero gravity in midair to jump off of the tower that Bakugo has, knocking them down, jumping all the way back and landing on them. Now, Bakugo tries to reorganize his team quickly, but it's already too late. Deku, trying to secure the fact that they have the bandana, lights a massive wall around them, blocking the other teams from approaching unless I want to get burnt by the Amaterasu flames. Now, Bakugo will still secure himself in this version. just because he, this time around, he doesn't have that 10 mil. Not even this time around, but just because he doesn't have the 10 million doesn't mean he can't secure some others. And Bakugo is able to go around and grab, he grabs like a 615 point band. He's able to grab some others. So he still gets second place, but, it's hard to top the 10 mil that Deku's team has. You also get the team that Todoroki's on, Momo makes it, and a bunch of other people. And you get this. And now with that over, the final part of the event is announced. And this, of course, is the battles. And only 4 teams made it. But here. And we have the first match, which is Izuku and Shinzo. And, Shinzo tells Izuku it must be nice to be blessed with a heroic quirk like that, to be born with something that allows you to, have physical prowess. Izuku responds saying, "Look, my quirk isn't all about physical prowess. I have other things." As he immediately is stopped in his tracks, Shinzo smiles, He's like, "I already won." And he orders Izuku to turn around and walk out of bounds. As Izuku starts walking, he starts slowing down until at the final step he just stops. He turns around and faces Shinzo, now his Sharingan activated, and he tells him that, that was good. That was really good. He wasn't expecting that. But he's going to have to try a lot harder than that if he wants a Genjutsu to work on him. Shinzo just kind of asks him, "What's a Genjutsu? What is that?" That was just my quirk. Izuku just cuts him off, and it's like, "Oh, sorry, that's different person." Shinzo, confused, just kind of just decides, I may as well step out. If I can't use mind control on him, I'm not going to be able to. But he doesn't leave without telling Izuku that, he is lucky he was able to do that. If that was anyone else, it wouldn't have worked. Izuku walks out victorious over round 1. Now, as Izuku advances, we have the, Izuku goes up, and he runs into Uraraka and whatnot, and he's able to tell them, it's like, talk with them, kind of chat a bit, talk about the match. They have some fun, And now we have the next match with Shoto, walking down, Endeavor stops him, and that Endeavor tells him, his duty is to surpass All Might, and that if he can't come into first in any of these rounds, how does he tell him? Shoto just ignores him. He just walks past. The second match is Shoto and Hanta. And Hanta instantly wraps his tape around Shoto, hoping to get him out of bounds. But Shoto, still angry about the conversation with his father, and even more angry about Izuku, creates a massive pillar of ice. Just like in Canada, completely immobilizing Hanta. He is just stopped in the process. And Hanta, not being able to move, is declared the loser. And Shoto wins the match, thus moving him on to the second round, which we'll see it play that play. We'll see that play out as well. With the third match underway, we have Ibarra versus Kaminari. And Kaminari tries to use his quirk, but it doesn't really work. The plants, just like in canon, this battle goes down just like canon. It's like the plants protect her, the electricity isn't to make it through. And we quickly get Kaminari, unfortunately, getting out, and him getting out. But next we have Tenya Ida, who is equipped with Mei Hatsume's gear versus Mei Hatsumi herself. During the match, Mei uses the opportunity to advise her, support equipment and items, just like last time. It's like, 10, 15 minutes of just cat and mouse chases, Mei feeling that she's shown everyone her support gear, walks out of bounds, and Tenya wins due to this action, but he's not happy. He feels like he just got used, which, yeah, you did eat it. No dip, Sherlock. And, Tenya goes to the waiting room and finds that, Uraraka in there, and Izuku arrives shortly and tells them that the 5th and 6th matches went in a flash. Mita defeated Yuga, Fumakagi defeated Momo. And now we're going to get the next match, which is, sorry, I had to check on my script, which is Bakugo versus Uraraka. I can't believe I almost forgot that. No, well, I didn't forget. I was trying to... Anyways, this match goes like canon, Uraraka, she sends all the debris into the air, both of them try their best, you get all the heroes telling, booing Bakugo because, he's bullying a girl, and we get the whole Aizawa speech, but, unfortunately, Uraraka, you're not any stronger than canon. And if anything, Bakugo's stronger due to the fact he's been training to fight Izuku. So unfortunately, this goes just like canon, and Uraraka loses. Now that we have this, we get some people, kind of booing him, but he doesn't really care. He recognized Ochaka, Uraraka had some pretty nice strength. While now Ichiro and Tetsu have their tiebreaker arm wrestling match in their round because neither could hurt each other. Ichiro wins and allows him to move on. Quickly. I'm trying to burn through these matches real quick because a lot of them are like canon. It's really the ones where Deku appears that changes up. And now we get Uraraka apologizes to Izuku. But it says he'll be rooting for him, and Izuku leaves. Now, Izuku heads for his second round, but finds Endeavor along the way. Endeavor tells him that he needs to use his quirk to force his son to bring out his flame side. Izuku tells him he doesn't owe him anything, and that if anything, he'll only bring out his flame side because he wants to. Endeavor tells him to get back here, still listen to him, but he just walks off. Now we have this match, which is Todoroki versus Izuku Midoriya. Sure one y'all have been waiting for. The battle starts. Izuku trying to strategize, how does he defeat Shoto? Shoto immediately uses his quirk and, shoots pillar of ices up, but, Izuku uses his quirk and burns them down, His quirk can melt the ice, but, he wants to try to avoid using his flames because they can be very harmful and deadly, And now we get Shoto, and he makes a massive ice block, but, same thing. Izuku shouts out and tells Todoroki that if he's only going to use half his quirk, he's not even going to make it halfway to fighting him. And Todoroki, in just the sheer anger of everything going on, he can't even lay a finger on Izuku. He's upset about losing in places. He's upset about the conversation with his father. He just kind of loses it. And he uses his fire side and sends out a massive flame. Almost immediately regretting it, thinking that he just burnt Izuku. We then see it revealed that Izuku is completely unharmed. And not only that, there's this weird, almost rib cage around him, like a almost ghostly rib cage. It's this weird, almost transparent black rib cage that's protecting Izuku. Todoroki, confused, asks him what it is, and he says, "Remember when I told you that my quirk wasn't only my physical prowess?" Todoroki questions him and said he thought he was talking about the fire. Deku tells him no, that this is the ability that he's been training for the past couple of months. Ever since he got into UA, he knew he had to compete more than just AMATERASU, and he's developed this power he's discovered. He calls it the Susanoo, and while he knows it's incredibly unperfected, this skeletal body that protects Izuku from all of his attacks, he'll never be able to reach him, and so he knows the battle's already over. Izuku, charging forward, punches Shoto while he's still stunned, straight out of the arena. Now, even with, Shoto's defeat, him losing, we still get Endeavor, the whole scene, like, he approaches his son and tries to still, say, like, you've finally chosen the right path, but, once again, he just ignores him. He tells his father to just shut up. He didn't use his flames for him. Izuku, being announced the winner of this round, walks out, and we're gonna go to the final battle, which is Bakugo versus Katsuki. Wait, no, it's Katsuki Bakugo versus Izuku Midoriya. Oh man. With this battle underway, we kind of have a bit of a rematch. It's not really a rematch, but Bakugo's upset. He wants vengeance for all the times he's lost to Deku, all the times he felt inferior. And he tells Deku that, you damn nerd! I've trained for all this time just to come up with a single technique to beat you. I haven't shown anyone yet, but I'm going to use this to blast right through you! Deku, immediately intrigued, but also knowing that he can't use his flames to defend against Bakugo, and since he already revealed it, instantly brings out his Susanoo, the skeleton protecting him, which, side note for everyone, he does not have any sort of full body. It is strictly just the rib cage. It cannot attack, it is only defensive. But anyways, back to it. We get Bakugo and he shoots off a couple normal explosions, but just as Deku expects, they can't pierce his rib cage. But then we have Bakugo say, you damn nerd, I already expected that. Well, here's my ability. And he rushes at Deku. And then right before he reaches it, he screams, AP shot! And you have this incredibly concentrated explosion beam that actually pierces right through his Susanoo. It breaks off one of the ribs, and Deku, jumping back, realizes that Bakugo is no laughing matter. Shoto's fire and his ice couldn't even get close to breaking through his Susanoo, but that shot, while it was incredibly concentrated and probably was not very easy for him to pull off, was able to break through part of his Susanoo. Now, it didn't actually hit him in any way, and it kind of just, it didn't really get there, but it was able to break through the outer rib part. Deku immediately realizes that he can't stall and he can't or anything with Bakugo, and he immediately goes in, activating his, AMATERASU, setting up some walls of flame, and as they start to fight, Deku uses his flames to kind of guide Bakugo around the arena, kind of forcing him into areas and using physical attacks. But Bakugo shoots back explosions, and while he's able to block some of them, with his Susanoo now being damaged, some of them get through his defenses. And this actually ends up being a very hard-fought battle for Deku, since he can't actually use his powers to his full ability because he doesn't actually want to really hurt Bakugo. He can't just burn him. How is he going to explain that to the teachers? At this point, it's just his enhanced strength that he's really using, along with the remainder of Susanoo to guard him. But, though a valiant effort by Bakugo, he does eventually run out of steam, and he can't produce explosions as powerful anymore. And with one final hit, he's launched out of the arena, and Deku is proclaimed the winner of the UA Sports Festival. Now, I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope you guys, subscribe, let me know you guys actually enjoy the content, and also ring the bell to know when the next part comes out. Also, let me know, this is about 3 times as long as the other what ifs I put out. Let me know how you thought about that. Do you think this is a good time? Maybe a little longer? Do you like the previous format more? Do you think maybe somewhere in between, maybe more 20 minutes is better? But, let me know, like and sub, comment down below, what's your favorite part? What did you like? What did you not like? Give me your feedback so I can improve constantly. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.